Hi everyone, this is Miss Camp, and in this video, we will be talking about the meaning of simple, complete, and compound when we are looking at subjects, predicates, and sentences. So let's get started. We have been learning a lot about subjects and predicates and sentences. But we use these words simple, complete, and compound so much that it is easy to get confused about what do we mean. So this video is going to help explain that. When we are looking at subjects and predicates, we are comparing simple and complete. We're talking about a simple subject or a complete subject, a simple predicate or a complete predicate. When we are talking about sentences, we're going to be comparing if it's a simple sentence or a compound sentence. We can also talk about having a complete sentence. That would be the opposite of a sentence fragment. But for the moment, I want to show that if I'm talking about a simple subject and predicate, that would be comparing it to a complete subject or predicate. And if we're talking about a simple sentence, that is comparing it to a compound sentence. So first, let's review. What are three things that we know about the subject? Okay, one is that we find it by asking the question, who or what is the whole sentence about? The next thing we know is where is it? Where is the subject? The subject is at the beginning of a sentence. It comes first. All right, third thing we know is what is in it? What is in the subject? There is a very important noun in the subject. We call this subject noun the simple subject. So you have heard Miss Camp call it the subject noun. The technical name for it is the simple subject. When we're talking about the complete subject or the complete predicate, let's take a look. Okay, a complete subject. Most of the time, this is all the words in the sentence that come before the verb. Now let's look at the complete predicate. Most of the time, this is all the words in a sentence that begin with a verb and come after the complete subject. And then a complete sentence. This is just a sentence that has a subject and a verb. It expresses a complete thought. It does not leave us wondering, who is this about? What are they doing? What is it telling us about this person? It expresses a complete thought, so we are not left confused. It is the opposite of a sentence fragment. Okay, let's talk about how we use the word simple to describe a subject or a predicate or a sentence. First, we're going to look at a simple subject. I will cover these up. Okay, the simple subject. A simple subject. This is the noun in the complete subject. It's usually just one word that tells us who or what the entire sentence is about. This is the noun that we will match with the verb. These are just definitions. We are going to look at some examples in a minute. All right, here comes the simple predicate. There we go, simple predicate. This is the verb in the complete predicate. This will probably be an action word or the verb to be. Am, is, are, was, were, will be. This could be more than, I should say here, let me fix this. One. Okay. This could be more than one word if there is a helping verb or it is future tense, like is swimming, will swim. That would be a two-word verb. So the simple predicate is just the verb in the complete predicate. All right, let's look at a simple sentence. A simple sentence is just a subject, could be one or more than one, followed by a predicate, and that could be one or more than one. And then with the word compound, we need to be thinking about this word here, and. Anytime you see the word and, your brain should be going ding, 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 compound, compound. So compound could be talking about a subject. A subject would have two subjects, and then they would be doing something. So the and would go right here. Okay, this could be Jack and Jill went up a hill. That would be a compound subject. Okay, then a compound predicate would be, we're not talking about the subject, so this could be anything, but they're doing two things, right? This could be Jack fell down and broke his crown. So the and would go here. So here we have two subjects connected with and doing something. Here we have a subject with two predicates. They're doing two different things. Jack and Jill went up a hill. Jack fell down and broke his crown. Then a compound sentence. A compound sentence is when we have two simple sentences that we are going to combine with probably the word and. We put a comma there. So we'd have somebody doing something and somebody doing something. So this would be a compound sentence. You can see that with a compound subject, it's red, green. There's just more than one red, more than one subject. With a predicate, there's red, green. There's just more than one green, doing two different things. With a compound sentence, you see the pattern is red, green, because with a compound sentence, we could get rid of that and, put a period here, turn this back into a capital letter, and we would be back to having two simple sentences. So the way to glue together two simple sentences and make a compound sentence is to use fanboys. The fancy name for fanboys is coordinating conjunctions. So if I write my fanboys going down the side, see if you can remember the words. We have for, three of these rhyme, for, nor, and or. The most common ones that we use are and, but, and so. And then there's also yet. For and nor, but or, yet, so. Those are the fanboys. And the ones that we use the most often, what color should I use? How about purple? Would be and, but, and so. And or might be number 4. Okay, so those are the conjunctions or the glue that we use when we are going to combine and make something compound. And it could go in any of these places where we have and. Okay, so let's do some examples. So we had a great example from the Incas, the Mayans, and the Aztecs this last week. So let's look first at our sentences that we have here. Pablo ran a mile. Pablo and Jeff ran a mile. Pablo ran a mile and fell over. Pablo and Jeff ran a mile and fell over. Pablo ran a mile and Jeff fell over. So we're going to be looking for the simple and complete subject, the simple and complete predicate, and to decide if it's a simple or compound sentence. Oh, we're also looking for, is it a compound subject or a compound predicate? Okay, so many things to look for. So let's look at the first one, and let's get rid of some of our stuff here. All right, so Pablo ran a mile. So our question is, who or what is this sentence about? It's about Pablo. He is the only word in the subject, so this is both the complete subject and the simple subject. The rest of the sentence is our complete predicate. So now we have used all the words in the sentence, 2 parts, complete subject, complete predicate. So what did Pablo do? Ran a mile. That's the complete predicate right here. But we need to find the simple predicate. That's just the verb. I'm going to highlight it in green. It's ran. That's the verb. Now, this sentence is just red-green. It's just subject predicate, so that is a simple sentence. All right, let's go down to the next one. So who or what is this sentence about? Well, we will not include and in the subject. So because I want to show you that there's 2 people running a mile. So here is our first subject, Pablo, and here is our next subject, Jeff. And you can see that they're combined with the fanboys conjunction and. So we have 2 subjects running a mile. So we call this a compound subject. And our predicate is still ran a mile. Oops, that's the wrong thing to do. Ran a mile. And that's the complete predicate because it includes all the words. And then the simple predicate is just the verb. This sentence does have a compound subject. This is where it gets so tricky to use those words simple, complete, compound. Because when we're talking about the predicate, we're talking about when we say the word simple predicate, we're not talking about the opposite of compound. We're talking about finding just that one word, just that verb. So the simple predicate is just ran. Okay, it's just that one word, that verb. The complete predicate is ran a mile. That's all the words telling us what Pablo and Jeff are doing. When we use the word compound, when we're talking about a subject or a predicate, we're just talking about, is there the word and involved, right? Do we have 2 subjects doing something, or are they doing 2 things? If they're only doing one thing, we just call it the complete predicate or the simple predicate. So we're only going to use compound for talking about subject and predicate if we see that word and or a fanboys conjunction. All right, so let's look down at this one. Pablo ran a mile and fell over. Well, right away, we see the word and. Okay, so there's going to be a compound something. All right, so let's see. Pablo is our subject. He's the only subject in this sentence. It's the complete subject and the simple subject in this sentence. But he's doing 2 things. So we have ran a mile. Okay, that's predicate number 1. And we have fell over. That's predicate number 2. So we say this has a compound predicate because Pablo is doing 2 things. Now we're going to find there's 2 predicates, right? It's a compound predicate, but each one we've put a box around the complete predicate. There's 2 complete predicates, but now we're going to find the simple predicate in each one. And remember, that's the verb. So we have ran and we have fell. So ran and fell are the 2 simple predicates. They are the 2 verbs. All right, Pablo and Jeff ran a mile and fell over. Well, we can see there's 2 ands. There's one here and there's one here. So let's look at our subjects. We've got Pablo and we have Jeff. So we have two subjects. That means a compound subject. So what did Pablo and Jeff do? Well, they did two things. They ran a mile and they fell over. So compound subject over here. See, we have two subjects. Compound predicate over here. See, they ran a mile and fell over. They're doing two things. This is number one and this is number two. And each of those predicates needs to have a simple predicate, which is the verb, ran and fell. Now, where it gets tricky is to say, let's talk about the whole sentence. Do we think this is still a simple sentence, or has it become a compound sentence? So remember, if we go back to looking at our compound page, to be a compound sentence, it has to go red, green, red, green. We would need to find a place to split it in two and make two simple sentences. Remember we said that a compound subject can have two red boxes and then a predicate. Compound predicate can have two green boxes with a subject. These are still simple sentences. Here we said a simple sentence can have one or more subjects and then one or more predicates. Okay, so if we're not seeing red, green, it's not a compound sentence. So let's go back to where we were. This is red, red, green, green. This is not red, green, right? There's no place for us to split this in two and have two simple sentences. Where would we split it? If we split it here, our first sentence would be Pablo and Jeff, period. That doesn't make sense. And our next sentence would be ran a mile and fell over, period. And that doesn't make sense. So this is still a simple sentence. Another way to look at it is that, let me use yellow. Both Pablo and Jeff are running a mile. Pablo is running a mile and Jeff is running a mile. And both Pablo and Jeff are falling over. Pablo falls over and Jeff falls over. So both of our subjects are doing both of our predicates. We call this a simple sentence. Simple sentence, when we use the word simple for a sentence, we don't mean the opposite of complicated. A simple sentence can be complicated. This sentence does look complicated, but when we use the word simple to describe a sentence, we just mean we've got a subject, could be more than one, like Pablo and Jeff, and then a predicate, could be more than one, like ran a mile and fell over. But both of these guys are doing both of these things. All right, let me get those out of the way. So now let's go down here and see our last example. Pablo ran a mile, comma, and Jeff fell over. So let's look at where our and is. Here it is, and notice there's a comma in front of it. That's a clue. And now let's figure out what's happening. First of all, can we split our sentence right here? What would the first part say? It would say Pablo ran a mile. Yeah, that is a subject and a verb. Pablo did what? Ran a mile. That's a simple sentence. In fact, we have it right up here. How about this side? Jeff fell over. Yes, that's a sentence. Who? Jeff did what? Fell over. So we could split this into two. So right away, that's a good clue that it's a compound sentence. Let's make sure we have red, green. So who is this about? Pablo. What did he do? Ran a mile. Let's look at our next one. Who is it about? Jeff. What did he do? Fell over. So we have red, green. The other thing with this one is only Pablo is running a mile. Jeff is not. And only Jeff is falling over. Pablo is not. So with a compound sentence, we actually have two separate simple sentences that we're going to combine together with the word and, or a fanboy's conjunction. When we do that, we turn this first period right here, sorry, this Yeah, that first period got turned into a comma. So here was the period. Pablo ran a mile, period. We turned that into a comma, and then we put the word and. Jeff fell over. So this last one is the only sentence on this page that is a compound sentence. Everything else is simple because it's red, green, red, red, green, red, green, green, red, red, green, green. But none of those repeat red, green, red, green. Only this one shows subject, predicate, subject, predicate. Okay, so for the Mayans example, we have, let's just start with my dog is playing with his bone. So let me cover these up here. Okay, so my dog is playing with his bone. So remember, to do the complete subject and the complete predicate, we need to use up all the words in the sentence. So my dog, who is my sentence about? My dog, what is my dog doing? Is playing with his bone. So now we've used all the words in the sentence. We have a complete subject and a complete predicate. Now we're going to find the simple subject. So what one word in that two-word complete subject is the noun that tells us what the whole sentence is about? It's dog. So I'm going to highlight that red. It's a noun. It's what the whole sentence is about. It's inside the complete subject. Then I look at the complete predicate, and I'm looking for the verb. It's a two-word verb, is playing. Remember that if you see an ing action verb and the dog is playing, then we need to put a helping verb in front of it that will be from the verb to be. Let's say those again. Let me see if I can find our list. I'm trying to think where that might be. I think it was on this page. Here it is. All right, let's say these together. I'll say them first. Okay, my turn, your turn. Am, is, are, was, were, will, be. Your turn. I'll say it with you. Am, is, are, was, were, will, be. Will be is one verb. It's a two-word verb. All righty, so where were we with the Mayans? Okay, so this is a two-word simple predicate. The verb is playing. Now, is this a simple sentence or a compound sentence? It's simple because it's subject, verb, red, green. All right, next one. My dog and my neighbor's dog are playing with their bones. Who is our sentence about? Well, it's about my dog. Do you see that and? There's an and. And there's someone else that this sentence is about. It's also about my neighbor's dog. So this sentence is about two things, my dog and my neighbor's dog, connected with and. So this is a compound subject. But let's find the simple subject in each one. That's the noun that tells us what the whole sentence is about. So we have dog, and in my neighbor's dog, it's also dog. The rest of the sentence is what they're doing, are playing with their bones. That is the complete predicate. Let's find the simple predicate. That's just the verb, are playing. We can see there's an action verb with ing on the end and a verb to be in front of it helping out, are playing. Notice that we use is here because it's just one dog, but we use are here because there are two dogs. Is this a simple sentence or a compound sentence? It's a compound subject, but the sentence is simple because it is red, red, green. Both of these subjects are doing this. We cannot split this sentence into two and have it make sense. All right, now here's our next sentence. It gets fancier. My dog and my neighbor's dog are playing with their bones and barking at a squirrel. So let's find our ands first. Okay, we have one here and we have one here. Okay, who's our sentence about? Well, my dog is subject number one. My neighbor's dog is subject number 2. What are they doing? Well, they're doing 2 things. They are playing with their bones, and they are barking at a squirrel. So they're doing 2 things. Well, we remember from the sentence before that we have a subject. This is a compound subject because there's 2. Dog number 1, dog number 2. Let's highlight our simple subjects. Dog is the noun here, and dog is the noun here. Let's look at our 2 predicates connected with and. So this is a compound predicate. Let's find the simple predicates, which are just the verb. So we have are playing, and we have barking. Okay, so is this sentence simple or compound? It looks complicated. It is complicated, but it's a simple sentence because both of these subjects are doing both of these things. My dog is playing with his bone and barking at a squirrel, and my neighbor's dog is playing with his bone and barking at a squirrel. So it's red, red, green, green. It's still a simple sentence. We have a compound subject and we have a compound predicate, but it's still a simple sentence. All right, let's go down and look at the next one. Oh, this is the same sentence, but we decided we wanted to have 2 different simple subjects. We didn't want dog and dog. So we changed it to my sheepadoodle and my neighbor's Maltese are playing with their bones and barking at a squirrel. So we can fix that here. We can say that my sheepadoodle is subject number 1. My neighbor's is all part of my neighbor's Maltese. It's all part of the next subject. And the predicates are playing with their bones, predicate number 1, and barking at a squirrel, predicate number 2. Our simple subjects are sheepadoodle and Maltese, and our simple predicates are playing and barking. And we have the and fanboys conjunction here, connecting our compound subject, and here connecting our compound predicate. All right, we were getting all set up to do a compound sentence, so let's see how it goes. My sheepadoodle is playing with his bone, comma, and, hint, 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 my neighbor's Maltese is barking at a squirrel. All right, so let's see if we can analyze this sentence. The first simple sentence that comes before that comma and, the subject is my sheepadoodle, and what is my sheepadoodle doing? Is playing with his bone. Keep in mind that since this is just one dog playing with his bone, we don't say, we say is here. And notice that we changed there to his, right? We didn't want this to be a bone that belonged to more than one dog because there's only one dog playing with it. And the simple subject is sheepadoodle. Now let's look at the next simple sentence. It's about my neighbor's Maltese. That's the complete subject. And then what is he doing? I got to get that is in there. Is barking at a squirrel. What is the simple subject? Maltese. That's the noun inside the complete subject. And what is the simple predicate? It is barking. Oh, and I missed this one, didn't I? Okay. Is playing and is barking. And then we have our fanboys conjunction. Do you see it? It's right here. Now, notice that we could have had a simple sentence that said, my sheepadoodle is playing with his bone, period. But we turned that period into a comma. And we could have a simple sentence that says, my neighbor's Maltese is barking at a squirrel. But we changed that capital M into a little m. And that's how we took 2 simple sentences and put them together into a compound sentence. All righty, let's move on to the Aztecs. So the Aztecs have The cat jumps over the fence. Who is that about? The cat. What is the cat doing? Jumping over the fence. Have we used up all the words in the sentence? Yes. Let's look at that. So we have our complete subject and our complete predicate. Let's find our simple subject. Is the noun cat. Simple predicate, jumps. That's the verb. Cat jumps. This is a simple sentence because we have subject verb, red, green. Okay, let's move on. The cat and the cow jump over the fence. Who is the sentence about? Well, it's about the cat, but it's also about the cow. So we have two subjects, and they're connected with the word and, the fanboys conjunction. So we have a compound subject. Inside those subjects, we have cat and cow. Those are the simple subjects. Those are the nouns that the whole sentence is about. So there's two. And because there's two, I want you to notice there's no S at the end of jumps. Right here we had an S because one cat jumps. Here we have a cat and a cow. That's two things. So there's no S at the end of jump. All right, so what are the cat and the cow doing? They are jumping over the fence. That's the complete predicate because now we have used up all the words in the sentence. And the verb, the simple predicate, is jump. This is still a simple sentence. All right, moving on. It does get more complicated here, but don't be fooled. It's still going to be a simple sentence. The cat and the cow jump over the fence and do a backflip. So who is our sentence about? The cat. That's subject number one. And the cow, subject number two. What are they doing? Well, the first thing they're doing is jumping over a fence. And the next thing they're doing is a backflip. Did you see our ands? We've got one here connecting the subjects, making a compound subject. We have subject number one and subject number two, compound subject. And do you see the and here connecting the predicates? Predicate number one and predicate number two. Where's our simple predicates? Those are the verbs, jump and do. And where are our simple subjects? We've got cat and we have cow. So let's look at this very complicated mess here. Two subjects, cat and cow, connected with and, compound subject. Doing two things, jumping over a fence, doing a backflip, connected with and, compound predicate. Compound subject, compound predicate, but they don't repeat. So it's still a simple sentence. This is not a red, green sentence. It's not subject doing verb, another subject doing a verb. This is two subjects doing two things, red, green. Simple sentence. All right, moving on. You know our compound sentence is coming, right? All right, so who is this sentence about? Well, we've got hang on here. We've got a cat. And what's this cat doing? Jumping over a fence, and then, oh, interesting, comma and. Do you see it? Comma and. Ding, 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 ding. Compound. And then what do we have? We have a cow, and we have does a backflip. Now, I did not get the word the in there. The is part of this complete subject, the cow. Okay, so who are our simple subjects? Noun and cow. What are our simple predicates? Jumps and does. And notice we have red, green. That's a compound sentence. So let's see what we got going on here. This cat is jumping over a fence, and this cow is doing a backflip. The cat is not doing a backflip. The cow is not jumping over a fence. There's two different things happening. Our first simple sentence was, the cat jumps over a fence. And our next simple sentence was, the cow does a backflip. So we had two. and we connected them with our fanboys conjunction and. We turned the first period into a comma, and we turned the capital letter of the next simple sentence into a lowercase t. The cat jumps over the fence, comma, and the cow does a backflip. This is a compound sentence. So, question, why do we need to have both a complete subject and a simple subject? And also, why do we need to have both a complete predicate and a simple predicate? Why can't we just say subject predicate? Well, let's see. Here's the answer. The answer is because we say that a sentence only has two parts. That means every word in the sentence needs to be in one of those two parts. If we look back here at the cat jumps over the fence, let's look just at this sentence here. The cat jumps over the fence. If I only said that cat and jumps are my subject predicate, then I have not used the words the, over, the, and fence. And so if we want to have all the words in the sentence split into two parts, then we call it a complete subject and a complete predicate. But then inside of those, we find the most important part, which is this noun right here and this verb right here. The reason we use the word complete, this word complete is not talking about finishing something. It's talking about including everything. Like you see this jigsaw puzzle behind me? Well, it's complete because every single piece of the puzzle is there. If we got all done putting that puzzle together and we had one piece missing, then we would say the puzzle is not complete. It is incomplete. It is not quite finished. Have you ever heard your teacher say that your homework is incomplete? That means it's not quite finished. It's not all of the pieces are there, have been done. So, but for complete subject and complete predicate, we want to say that we have used up all of the pieces of the sentence. All of them are included. None are missing. So, for example, the boys in Miss Camp's class are playing soccer after school. So we can see that to make this into a complete subject, oops, not that one. Hang on, too many tools going on here. All right, subject. The boys in Miss Camp's class, that's who the whole sentence is about. And then what are they doing? That's actually the simple predicate. But to get all the rest of the words in the sentence, we are going to say that's in the green box is the complete predicate. So that lets us include all of the words in the sentence. So here we have our complete. Right here, we have our complete subject, and here's our complete predicate. But we need to find the simple subject and the simple predicate. Okay, so that's going to be boys and are playing. So this one is the simple subject. And are playing is the simple predicate. Okay, which is the verb. And these up here, this whole thing would be the complete, I can't get that all on there, the complete subject. And this would be the complete predicate. Okay, so that we have all of the words of the sentence included. Okay, well, the reason it's so important to find the simple subject and the simple, the reason it's so important to find the simple subject and the simple predicate is because, let me get rid of all that, is because we have to decide when we're looking at the verb, right here, this part of the verb, we have to decide, are we going to use is or are we going to use are? And we only use is if this is one person, And we only use are if this is more than one person. So we have to be able to ask that question. So being able to ask and answer that question is called subject-verb agreement. If our simple subject is just one, we're going to add an S to the end of the verb if we're talking about present tense. So some examples you can see with is, there's an S already on the end. With was, there's an S already on the end. Has, already has an S on the end. Does, we took do and added an ES and made does. With goes, we took go and added an ES and made goes. Or any action verb plus S, right? So action verbs could be like swim or bark, and we just add an S on the end. Okay, run, just add an S on the end. We would do that if the simple subject is just one. But if the simple subject is more than one, we do not put an S on the end of the verb. So instead of is, we have are. Instead of was, we have were. Instead of has, we have. Instead of does, we take the S off and make it do, or go, or any action verb that does not have an S. So it would just be swim, no S at the end, or bark, no S at the end, or run, no S at the end. We have to look at the simple subject in order to make that decision. And we have to ask, is it one or more than one? Okay, we're going to go back to our famous sentence, now famous. Maybe I should call it infamous. The boys in Miss Camp's class are playing soccer after school. Well, the simple subject has to be boys. It has to be this one right here. So we call this one the simple subject. Okay? And remember that our simple predicate is are playing. Okay? We've already figured that out. There's 3 reasons why class, which is also in the complete subject. So if you remember just for a moment, our complete subject was this, right? And in there, we found boys and we found class. I'm using orange for a reason. There was 2 nouns in there, but we decided that our simple subject is just going to be boys. Okay, even though class is inside the complete subject. And so why can it not be boys? Well, there's 3 reasons, if you can remember. One is that our class includes girls, and this sentence says it's just the boys who are playing soccer. So that reason number 1, it doesn't make sense. Reason number 2 has to do with this word, are. We just learned that if we have more than one subject, we're going to have no S at the end of our verb. We're going to use are, not is. And so here we have are. Well, boys has an S at the end, so that would work. But class is just one thing. Class is a little bit confusing because we can have a lot of people in the class, but we're not talking about all the people. We're talking about it being one group. Right? This is one class. This would be Miss Camp's class. And over here, we would have Mr. McLean's class. And over here, we would have Miss Mellis's class. Okay, so there's 3 classes. We're talking, when we use the word class, about a group. We're taking all those people and putting them into one circle and calling them one, it's going to be one thing. Okay, so that's the second reason, is because of this verb are. The third reason is the tricky one, and it has to do with this right here. I usually use a box. Okay. So, and that has to do with this word right here. Okay. In. In is, do you remember what it's called? It's called a preposition. And when we find a preposition, in, of, on, at, with, those are prepositions. There's many, many. But if we find one, we need to keep looking for a noun at the end of what we call a prepositional phrase. A prepositional phrase. So we're going to have a preposition at the beginning, that's the in, that's like the line leader, and then at the end, the caboose is going to be a noun. And this noun can never be the simple subject of the sentence. And if it's not the simple subject, we have another word for it, which is object. So if you find a prepositional phrase inside the complete subject, you just need to take it out for a minute, cover it up in your mind, pretend it's not there, and then that will help you find the simple subject, which is boys. The only reason this prepositional phrase was here was to answer the question, which boys are we talking about? And something that answers the question, which one, and gives us more information about a noun is acting like an adjective. And that whole phrase, that whole group of words, that whole prepositional phrase in Miss Camp's class was just giving us more information about these guys, telling us which boys are we talking about. The ones at Eagle Ridge Elementary, the ones in Colorado, the ones in Mr. McLean's class. We just wanted to know which ones are we talking about. So it was just helping us out to let us know more about our simple subject, which is boys. Okay, this sentence seems a little more simple, right? Let's take a quick look at it. So all of the boys are playing soccer. We need to put all of these words either into the complete subject or the complete predicate. Sometimes it's easiest to find the verb. Okay, here's our playing. That's going to begin the complete predicate. So now we have our complete predicate and our simple predicate. Everything else has to be the complete subject. So here we have our complete subject. Now we need to find the simple subject. All of the boys. You know, you might think that it's going to be boys because it does work. There's an S at the end, and we do have R, which goes with more than one. So, and the boys are playing soccer, so it makes sense. And the verb works, the subject-verb agreement. But do you remember back here? Whoopsie daisy doozy doozy. There were 3 reasons why it wasn't class. One was that it didn't make sense. One was this R goes with boys. And another one was the prepositional phrase. And in the prepositional phrase, the noun at the end cannot be the simple subject. Well, if you look here, it does make sense to be boys. The verb is okay. It works. Subject-verb agreement works here. But of is a preposition. We have to memorize that. Of is a preposition. So if this is a preposition, we need to be looking for a noun that comes after it. Of the boys. Boys is the noun that comes after that preposition, which means, guess what? This right here, it's kind of hard to see that with my pink and my, maybe I'll make my whole prepositional phrase pink. Okay, right in there, that's a prepositional phrase, which means the boys, that last word of the phrase, that's a noun, the last word of the prepositional phrase, that cannot be the simple subject. We call that the object of the prepositional phrase. So what word is left? Well, it's this word right here. All. So all is the simple subject. Crazy, huh? It is. So all is a simple subject, and we have to match that to the verb. So let's see. We're going to match that to this verb. Should we use is? Let me use green. Should we use is or should we use are if our simple subject is all? Anyone know? Well, if we use the word all, we're talking about more than one. And so we're going to use are. And of the boys helps us know that we're talking about more than one. Okay. Let's look at it. What if we said many of the boys are playing soccer? Okay, well, now you should be able to see it's similar. Here's our complete subject. But do you find that preposition of and you keep on going to the noun at the end. That's our whole prepositional phrase. So our simple subject has to be many. And we are going to line that up with are. Many is also talking about more than one, so it goes with are. Some of the boys are playing soccer. Same thing. Here's our complete subject, but do you see that preposition of? You have to keep going till you find the noun. That's the prepositional phrase. It cannot be part of the simple subject. Here's the simple subject, and it goes with are, because some is also more than one. Same thing with a few of. Now, this one's tricky. None of the boys are playing soccer. None of the boys. So let's find here's our complete subject. Here is our preposition of. There's our prepositional phrase of the boys. But none, think, well, that's less than zero. That's zero. That's nobody. But we're taught what's referring to of a group, of many, of more than one boy. And so with none, we are also going to use are. None are playing soccer. One of the boys is playing soccer. So here is our complete subject, one of the boys. Now, this is where you could get a little confused if you see boys with an S at the end, more than one boy, but look, this is, which goes with just one. And this is where that prepositional phrase really helps you out, because here's the preposition, keep going to find the noun, so that's the prepositional phrase, so that cannot be the simple subject. And so here it is going to be one, and one, of course, is just one, so one goes with is. So we would say one is. But let's go back for a minute to this. None of the boys are playing soccer. Let's get rid of all that. Okay, none of the boys are playing soccer. And I'm even going to get rid of all this up here. All right, let's just look at this. None of the boys are playing soccer. If you use the word none, then it really is going to depend on this word right here, okay? If I wrote my sentence to be none of the book is exciting. Oh, that would be really sad, right? Here, let's find our complete subject is none of the book. And then our predicate is exciting. So we've used up all of our words. We can find our preposition of, we can find the whole rest of the prepositional phrase, okay? So now we have to look at none and is. Do we want to use is? Or do we want to use are? Okay, is none going to be one or more than one for the verb? And with the word none, we have to think about what is the none referring to. So in this first one, the none is referring to more than one boy, so we use are. In the second one, the none is referring to one book, so we use is. So with the simple subject in both of these, whoops, is not going to be orange, is none, but none can go with a plural verb or a singular verb. It depends on what is it referring to. So actually, we need to look at the context. It might be there for us in the prepositional phrase, or we might have to infer it. But we need to figure out what is the none talking about. And is it talking about of one thing or of more than one thing? And then that helps us choose the verb to be for more than one or for just one. There's other ways to say none besides none. For example, if we said no one, is playing soccer. Well, in this sentence, the no one is really one, right? It's just saying no one. Or you could have not one. This would be the same as not one. You could have nobody with one word. Oops, that's the wrong thing. Nobody is okay, playing soccer. So with no one or nobody or not one, you would use the singular because we're really, the part to see here is the one and the body, right? That is, think of that as just one. And so then our simple predicate would be is. But none is a little bit tricky because you have to look at what are they referring to. There will probably be a prepositional phrase coming after it to tell you, or you might have to look at the context and look at the sentence before. Like if there was two sentences that said, the boys are eating pizza, none are playing soccer, right? So who is the none referring to? The boys. All righty. And that brings us to the end of this video. Okay, so thank you for watching. I think this probably took a few days to get through all of it. See you soon. Bye.